Have you ever laid next to a man and still felt completely alone? You share a bed, you share a life, but somehow you feel like strangers. He reaches for your body, but your heart aches for something deeper. And maybe, just maybe, you've told yourself, he only wants sex, maybe that's all I am to him. But what if that wasn't true? What if that touch wasn't desire alone, but a silent cry for connection he doesn't know how to voice? This video isn't about judging him, it's about understanding him. It's about seeing intimacy not as an obligation or frustration, but as a doorway into the unspoken parts of his heart and yours. If you've ever wondered what your partner really needs but doesn't say, stay with me. This might change how you see him. And yourself. If any part of this feels familiar, leave a comment, share your story, or just let me know you're here. And if this speaks to you, don't forget to like and subscribe, because you deserve love that sees you, not just your body. Emotional intimacy. When words fail, touch speaks. We often expect connection to come through conversation, through deep talks, through vulnerability spoken out loud. And for many women, that's where love feels real. When it's expressed clearly, directly, from the heart. But for a lot of men, that space is harder to reach. Not because they don't feel as deeply, but because they were never taught how to say it. From the time they're little boys, many men are told to be strong, to keep it together, to not cry, to not talk about fear or sadness. So they learn to carry those feelings alone, and over time they learn to stop trying to name them at all. But those feelings don't disappear, they stay quiet, unspoken, and eventually they come out in other ways, through action, through silence, and sometimes through touch. For many men, physical intimacy becomes the only safe place to let go. Not just physically, but emotionally. It's the moment when they can feel close without needing the perfect words, when they can be held without needing to explain why they feel empty, or tired, or overwhelmed. I remember a woman named Lisa who once shared something with me. She said, "My husband never talks about his stress, but every time I know he's had a hard day, he reaches for me at night. At first, I felt confused. I thought he just wants sex, but then I realized that's the only time he lets himself need me." That hit something deep, because how many of us have been in that position? Misreading his need for connection as just another physical urge, feeling unseen, even used reality. It might have been the only way he knew how to ask for closeness. This doesn't mean we should accept intimacy that doesn't feel mutual or emotionally safe, but it does invite us to look again, to ask ourselves, is this his way of reaching out? Even if he doesn't know how to say the words, because emotional intimacy doesn't always look like eye contact and deep conversations. Sometimes it looks like him pulling you close after a long day. Sometimes it's quiet, awkward, imperfect, but real. And if we can begin to see those moments not as pressure, but as vulnerability, something shifts. We stop feeling like we're being taken from and start realizing we're being trusted with a part of him he rarely shows. That's not just desire, that's courage. Even if it looks a little different than what we expect. And in those quiet, wordless moments, maybe that's where emotional connection begins. Not through perfect language, but through presence, through softness, through letting him be human in the only way he knows how. Trust-based intimacy, can he be real around you? We often think physical intimacy is just about desire, chemistry, passion. But for many men, it's something much deeper. Sometimes it's the only moment where they can drop the mask and ask a question they don't know how to say out loud. Can I still be real with you? You see, the world teaches men early on to perform, to be strong, to be capable, to never let the cracks show, and over time they become experts at hiding what's really going on inside. They get good at being the one who has it all together. But that pressure weighs heavy. And when they feel like they're starting to slip, like they're not enough, like they're failing at something, they rarely admit it. Instead, they reach for the only space that still feels safe. Intimacy, not for validation, but for reassurance. Not for lust, but for closeness. For many men, being physically close is the only time they feel they can ask, "Do you still believe in me? Do you still accept me even when I don't have it all figured out?" It's not always a conscious question, but it's there. In the way he touches you more tenderly after a hard day. In the way he becomes quieter but wants to be near. He's not testing your body, he's testing your presence. I remember one woman, Anna, telling me, "My husband used to go quiet when he was stressed. I thought he was shutting me out. But over time, I noticed that's when he came closer. That's when he reached for me, not with words, but with his hands." At first, I took it the wrong way. I thought he just wanted something physical, but then I saw it. That was the only way he knew how to ask for my trust. Trust-based intimacy isn't about sex being perfect or even frequent. It's about whether he feels safe enough to be emotionally messy in your presence without fearing he'll be rejected or judged. And no, it's not your job to carry his emotional weight. You are not here to mother him or fix him, but knowing what his closeness might really mean can shift how you respond. It allows space for compassion. It lets you soften in moments that used to feel confusing. It opens the door to a deeper kind of connection, one where he doesn't have to perform, and you don't have to guess. Because when a man feels trusted, he begins to trust himself again. And when he sees that you're still there, even when he's not at his best, something powerful happens. He stops running, he stops pretending, and he starts showing up not as the man he thinks he has to be, but as the man who truly is. And that's the man who stays, fully, honestly, deeply. Section 3, Playful Intimacy, the only place he feels free. There's a version of him that only shows up when the world finally quiets down. Not the serious one, not the responsible one, not the man with the to-do list and the expectations. I'm talking about the playful one, the version of him that teases you in the kitchen, wraps his arms around you from behind, or makes a silly face when no one's looking. You know that version. You've seen it peek through in small, tender moments. And you might have wondered, where did that come from? Here's what most people never tell you. Playfulness is not immaturity. In many men, it's a form of emotional relief. It's a language of joy, and more than anything, it's a rare glimpse into who they were before life told them to always be strong. From a young age, boys are taught to toughen up, not to whine, not to cry, definitely not to be soft. So they grow up learning to perform, to act steady, in control. And slowly they forget what it feels like to be emotionally weightless, to just play. But that need doesn't go away. It just gets buried. That's why in safe relationships, some men suddenly act childish in moments of closeness. Not because they're being careless, but because they finally feel safe enough to drop the mask, to laugh, to tease, to be someone who doesn't always have to lead. I once spoke with a woman named Carrie. She said, "My husband can be so serious with everyone else, but when it's just us, sometimes he turns into a boy. He tickles me, makes up songs in a funny voice. At first, I didn't understand it, but now I know that's when he's most free. That kind of intimacy isn't silly, it's sacred. Because when a man lets himself play with you, what he's really saying is, this is the one place I don't have to be perfect." He's not trying to get attention. He's not being reckless. He's inviting you into the part of him that rarely feels allowed in the real world. And the truth is, relationships that last often hold this kind of softness. They make room for laughter, for lightness, for inside jokes that only the two of you share. Because intimacy isn't just about emotional depth or physical closeness. It's also about being fully yourself with no fear of being judged. So the next time he acts goofy, leans into you like a kid, or flashes that smile that feels a little more vulnerable than usual, see it for what it is. Not immaturity, but trust. He's not asking you to take care of him. He's asking you to stay close to the realest part of him, the part that still remembers what it feels like to be soft, open, and unafraid. And that's a rare and beautiful thing. Section 4, Affirming Intimacy. Am I still desired? He may not say it out loud. He may not ask directly, but deep down, many men quietly wonder, do you still want me? Not as a provider, not as the one who picks up groceries or fixes the broken sink, but as a man, as someone you still look at with that little spark in your eyes. That look that says, you matter to me, not just because of what you do, but because of who you are. We often think women are the ones who need reassurance in long-term relationships, and we do, absolutely. But what most people don't realize is that men need it too. They may not ask for it, they may even act like they don't care, but underneath the steady face, there's often a quiet ache. Am I still attractive to her? Does she still see me as desirable or just familiar? You see, over time, the early rush of passion naturally settles. Life gets busier. routines grow predictable. And sometimes both partners start to feel like roommates more than lovers. But while women are often more vocal about feeling disconnected, men tend to internalize it. Instead of saying, "I feel unseen," they might just stop initiating. Instead of sharing their vulnerability, they pull back. And what they're really doing is protecting themselves from the pain of possibly being unwanted. That's why the smallest gestures from you can mean more than you realize. A soft compliment, a lingering touch, a moment where you choose to reach for him, not because you have to, but because you want to. These aren't just romantic gestures. They're reminders. They tell him, "I still see you. I still feel something when I look at you. You still matter." I remember a woman named Elena telling me about her husband of 20 years. She said, "He rarely initiates anymore. But when I leaned in and kissed him softly one morning, just because I saw something in his face, like he exhaled, like a part of him came back." Men won't always tell you they're afraid of being invisible, but they feel it. Especially in a world that often tells them their worth is tied to productivity, not presence. You don't need to chase, you don't need to perform. But your intentional warmth, when it's real, can reach him in places even he doesn't know are hurting. When a man feels desired by the woman he loves, it changes how he stands in the world. He feels chosen, not out of habit, but out of love. And in that space, he doesn't just come closer, he softens. He listens, he stays, not because he has to, but because he feels safe and seen and deeply wanted for who he truly is. Section Silence. Can I be quiet and still be loved? Not every man speaks his love out loud, and not every moment of connection comes with words. Sometimes it's the quiet that says the most. You've probably been there. He comes home after a long day. He doesn't talk much. He sits near you, maybe close enough to touch, maybe not. And you're left wondering, is something wrong? Is he distant again? Why won't he just open up? But here's what many women don't realize. For some men, silence is not withdrawal, it's surrender. He's not pulling away. He's just tired of performing. And in those moments, what he wants most is not a solution or a deep conversation or even to be understood. He just wants to exist quietly and still be loved. That kind of silence isn't empty, it's honest. Men carry a lot in their silence. Expectations, failures, frustrations they can't name, the pressure to stay strong, to keep moving, to fix things even when they're falling apart inside. So when he gets quiet, it's not always a sign of disconnect. Sometimes it's the only way he knows how to feel close without having to explain. I remember a woman once told me, "My husband isn't much of a talker." I used to get frustrated when he'd sit next to me and not say a word, but then I started noticing how peaceful he looked. That's when I realized his silence wasn't avoidance. It was comfort. He was home. And that's what safe silence really is. It's not the absence of his intimacy. It's a quiet kind of trust. It says, "I don't have to perform around you. I don't need to impress you right now. I can just sit here, be exactly who I am, and still be accepted." As women, we're wired to connect through conversation, to seek clarity through words. And that's beautiful. But sometimes the most powerful thing we can offer is presence. Not fixing, not asking, just being there. That doesn't mean ignoring your own needs. If silence starts to feel like distance, you have the right to ask for connection. But before assuming the worst, pause and ask yourself, could this be his version of peace? Because when a man feels safe to be quiet around you, it's often the highest form of trust he can offer. It means you're not just his partner, you're his home base, the one place where he doesn't have to carry it all alone. So if he ever leans into you, wordless and still, let your presence speak for both of you. Let your quiet say, "You're safe here." Even in silence, you're loved. Sometimes, the deepest intimacy isn't heard. It's simply felt in the quiet, in the breath, in the space where two hearts rest without needing anything more than each other. Section 6. Spiritual intimacy, the moment we disappear together. There's a kind of moment that most people overlook, a moment when he doesn't say much. When he comes home, sits beside you, maybe puts a hand on your leg, or maybe says nothing at all. And you wonder, is something wrong? Is he pulling away? Is he even here with me emotionally? We're used to measuring connection through words, through long talks, through expressions of love that sound poetic or intentional. But not all intimacy sounds like a conversation. Some of the most honest forms of closeness are quiet, undramatic. Still, For many men, silence is not absence, it's peace, it's safety. They spend so much of their lives under pressure to lead, to fix, to solve, at work, at home, even within themselves. And the truth is, they often don't get to feel safe, not emotionally, not mentally, certainly not vulnerably. So when a man enters a space and doesn't feel the need to speak, to entertain, to explain, that's not him disconnecting. That's him breathing. That's him exhaling in the one place he hopes is safe enough for him to just be. I once heard a woman say, "He sat next to me and didn't say a word, just stared at the wall." And my first instinct was to feel hurt. But then I realized he didn't need me to fix anything. He just needed me to stay. That kind of silence is sacred. It says, I trust you to hold this moment without filling it. No questions, no demands, just presence. For women, it's not always easy. We're nurturers, communicators. We often want to reach out, ask, connect. But part of deep emotional maturity is learning to meet someone where they are, even if where they are is quiet. And that quiet doesn't mean you're being shut out. In fact, sometimes it means you're being let in. When a man can sit next to you in silence without fear of judgment or expectation, he's not taking you for granted. He's saying, I don't have to perform here. I don't have to be the strong one right now. I can just exist and still be loved. That's powerful, that's rare, and that kind of space, when held gently, becomes one of the strongest forms of intimacy. Because it's not built on excitement or constant reassurance. It's built on trust, on the kind of knowing that doesn't need words to stay connected. So the next time he's quiet, don't rush to fill the gap. Try sitting with him. Let your presence speak. Let your stillness say, you don't have to be anything right now but here, because sometimes the deepest kind of love sounds like nothing at all. It's just two people breathing the same air, feeling the same peace. No words, just home. What if we've misunderstood men all along? What if the silence, the distance, even the way they reach for our bodies, isn't because they don't care, but because they were never taught how to show they do? So many of us have spent years thinking, he doesn't talk about his feelings, he must not have any, or all he wants is sex. But what if the truth is softer? What if, instead of being emotionally careless, he's emotionally untrained? Most men didn't grow up in homes where love was spoken openly. They weren't taught to express tenderness with words. What they learned over time through silence and repetition is that touch was the only safe language. That physical closeness was the only place where vulnerability didn't feel shameful. So when he pulls away after a hard day, or when he moves toward you in quiet moments, maybe it's not rejection or lust. Maybe it's the only way he knows how to say, I need you. I just don't know how to say it. This shift in perspective doesn't erase pain, but it opens the door to compassion. Because when we stop asking, why doesn't he open up like I do, and start wondering, has he ever been shown how? Something in us softens too. And suddenly, it's not he only wants sex, it becomes he wants to feel loved. But he doesn't know how to ask. That's not weakness, that's a quiet kind of courage. And maybe, just maybe, we've been speaking different languages this whole time. But now we're learning how to listen. For real, sex is not just a need for men. It's often the only doorway they have left to feel truly connected. If you've ever thought he was distant, cold, or emotionally closed off, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he just didn't have the words. You deserve a love that's whole, one that holds both your heart and your body. And you also have the power to be the place where he finally feels safe enough to be real. Not perfect, not strong, just human, just loved. Have you ever misread what your partner was really asking for? If this video made you think differently, share your story in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. And if you felt seen or understood, don't forget to like, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs to hear it too. You're not alone in this. We're learning together.